All right, welcome to our final explainer on Kubernetes. We've built the cluster, we've run the applications, and now it's time to lock it all down. Let's dive in. Just think about that for a second. Chaos, right? Absolute chaos. This is precisely why Kubernetes security exists. It is the final and maybe the most crucial layer we need to understand.
Okay, so up to this point in the series, we've really put all the foundational pieces on the board. We've come a long, long way. I mean, we've covered everything from compute and networking to storage and scaling. We've essentially built a fully functional system from the ground up.
But here's the thing, a real-world cluster. It's not sitting there empty. It's more like a bustling city with hundreds of developers, operators, and automated systems all talking to the Kubernetes API server.
And that right there, that is the fundamental question that sits at the absolute heart of the entire Kubernetes security model. So let's start with our first line of defense. How do we control what the humans, the engineers and operators, can actually do? To make this really simple, let's use an analogy. Imagine your cluster is a fortress. Now, before you let anyone in, you need to give them a key card, right? And that key card defines exactly where they can go and what doors they can open. Well, in Kubernetes, that key card system has a name. It's called Role-Based Access Control, or RBAC for short. And this is the primary way Kubernetes answers that critical question. Does this user have permission to do this thing? And what's kind of brilliant about this? It's how simple the logic is. It's really just a three-step process. First, you define a role, which is just a set of permissions, like can read pods. Then you identify a subject, that's a user or a group, say the dev team. And then you create a binding to connect the two. That's it. Role, subject, binding. Simple. And this is where you really see the power of RBAC. You could have a cluster administrator role, which is basically the master key, right? It bypasses all the checks. Or you could create a super specific role for a developer that says they can only read pods and only inside one specific little corner of the cluster. This level of control, that's the key to security at scale. Okay, so we've got our human users sorted, but what about the applications themselves? Because they need identities too. See, in a modern cluster, it's not just people making requests. You've got monitoring tools, CI/CD pipelines, all sorts of applications that need to talk to the Kubernetes API. They're also actors inside our fortress. And for all these non-human actors, Kubernetes gives us something called a service account. The best way to think about it is like an official ID badge for an application. It gives a process running inside a pod a verifiable identity within its namespace. And this is the real aha moment. The one thing a lot of people miss when they're starting out. Every single pod in your cluster runs with a service account identity, even if you don't give it one. Kubernetes just goes ahead and assigns a default one for that namespace. The takeaway? No process running in your cluster is ever anonymous. Okay, so why is this such a big deal? Well, because with these ID badges, you can use that exact same RBAC system we just talked about to grant super specific minimal permissions to your applications. It means that everyone and everything, whether it's a human or a machine, has to play by the exact same set of security rules. It's a unified system. All right, we've got key cards for the people and ID badges for our applications, but we need one final checkpoint, a final line of defense right at the fortress gate. So think about this for a second. What happens if a user who has the right permissions tries to do something unsafe? Like a developer has permission to create a pod. Okay, RBAC says, go ahead. But what if the pod they're trying to create is configured in a way that's totally insecure or violates a company policy? That's exactly where admission control comes into play. Think of it as a set of plugins that are the ultimate gatekeeper for any request. So after a request is authenticated and authorized, it still has to get past admission control before it's actually written into the cluster's state. And this is the core insight right here. Admission controllers get to look at the entire request, the full content of the object being created, so they can validate it against cluster-wide policies, they can even change it to add required labels, or they can just flat out reject it if it's not safe. It is the ultimate policy enforcement checkpoint. Okay, so let's zoom out one last time and see how all of these pieces fit together to create this really powerful layered defense system. So here it is, our security fortress. First up, you've got RBAC, That's our keycard system, answering who can do what. Then you have service accounts, which are the ID badges for our applications, our robots, answering what can these applications do. And finally, you have admission control. This is a security checkpoint at the gate, asking every single request, are you following the rules? And that, right there, concludes our entire journey through the core concepts of Kubernetes, from the control plane all the way to the pod, from networking to autoscaling, and now, finally, to security.
You now have the complete mental model. You really get the architecture and the logic that lets Kubernetes do what it does, reliably manage these massive containerized applications at an incredible scale.
So we've given you the map to the fortress. We really hope this whole series has armed you with the knowledge and maybe the curiosity to go out there and build some truly amazing things on this platform. So the only question left is, what will you build?